Hi, I'm Victoria Findlay Wolfe. I am the author of Double Wedding Ring Quilts, Traditions Made Modern. Here's another one I just put together. Having so much fun playing around with the different parts of a double wedding ring. And what I find I would like to share with you today is how to piece curves for National Sewing Month. That's the number one thing you need to know for piecing curves is to breathe and relax. They are really not that difficult. I call them patience builders because who doesn't need more patience, right? Exactly. So here's a couple parts of my double wedding ring, right? I have an arc with two cornerstones and I have a melon, small melon, with an arc. Now I've already pieced this curve, but the same curve that's going to happen when I sew these two together is exactly the same. Now you'll notice, if you can see that there, these curves actually mirror each other, okay? So the first thing you need to do when you're doing template curves is to find the center. Finger press your center, finger press your center, and in fact I use 3 pins when I'm pinning. I pin my centers first because I want to make sure I'm not distorting my mirror image. So I'm going to pin through my arc, and I'm going to pin my center of the melon so that that stays put and doesn't move. Okay, so that leaves me with lining up my cornerstone seam with this seam of the melon and the arc. This point is going to line up with this point right here, and I'm going to pin those exactly at 1/4 inch. That means I'm pinning through the first seam right here at 1/4 inch, and I'm pinning through this seam at 1/4 inch. The reason I want to pin those exactly where I'm going to sew them is that I can check when I'm sewing around, am I still sewing 1/4 inch? And if I cross that pin right where I've pinned into the fabric at 1/4 inch, I know that those seams are going to line up. So right there, that's 2 pins. The third pin goes to the opposite side. The same thing. I'm lining this seam up with this seam, and I'm going to pin those at 1/4 inch. Now by doing so, if you've cut your patterns correctly, the templates are in the back of the book. And the nice thing about those templates is that when they're accurate and you pin at those 3 points, your raw edges between pin to pin, right? It's hard to do this, hold this backwards to you. They line up perfectly and there's no extra fabric between here and there. Ah, would you like another tip? Do I sew it this way or do I sew it this way? I sew it this way with the floppy on the top. I call it the floppy toppy and the belly on the bottom. The flat part on the bottom, the part with the more wavy fabric goes onto the top because that way I can watch as I'm sewing this now. My straight edges, I'm going to line that up. I'm going to sew all the way around from pin to pin. I already know that there's no extra fabric. And look, it's not even a curve anymore. You're sewing 4 inches at a time and there's not really a curve anymore. So that's it. So once you get to the center pin, then you're going to go to the last pin, and then you finish this little straight piece. It goes very, very quickly. So I have several videos. My Sizzix videos show this. There are instructions in the back of the book, and I'm always happy to answer emails. So relax. Piecing curves are really not that hard. Do it in baby steps. You need 3 pins. You make the mirror image line up, and you can sew those quite speedily. And when I make this quilt, chain piece. Chain piece is your friend. Enjoy quilting, enjoy sewing, and happy National Sewing Month.